welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Vintage at the request of Patreon subscriber Joe L. Those of you who follow the BoshNRoll deep lore over the years know that Joe L is behind the deck that he calls Omni-Joe and Animate, a deck that I call Omni-Joe. He has hybridized Show and Tell and Reanimator into this blue-black, extremely sturdy, although weird-looking control pile. Combo control pile. More of a combo deck than a control deck, but it is built for stability rather than speed. And Joe is just ripping off trophies in Legacy all the time. He messages me like once a week, like, hey, put up another trophy. Here's my matchup spread and stuff. And he has taken the show on the road into Vintage. And basically, the deck is the same, except now we get Fast Mana and Broken Tutors. The plan is still do something big with a monster. We've got Emrakul, Grizzlebrand, 2 Archon of Cruelties, and an Atraxa, and a Shuldred, just in case. And then there is Show and Tell and Omniscience to get them into play, sometimes casting them in the case of Emrakul, which makes it better. And Omniscience plus Grizzlebrand, of course, is cast most of your deck. Then there is, of course, Entomb, Reanimate. There's 2 copies of Shallow Grave as well, because Vintage is a lot faster than Legacy, and just putting something like Atraxa into play might not be good enough. Your opponent might untap and kill you. So being able to hastily obliterate their board and 15 of their life points with Emrakul, or actually get an Archon, enter, trigger, attack, trigger, draw 2 cards, knock 2 cards, kill 2 creatures, hit them for 12. Like, these are the kind of swings that might be necessary in Vintage. So there's a higher number of Shallow Graves in this build. There's usually 1 in the Legacy build. And there were actually 3 in this, but I caught 1 for a Mystical Tutor. I just think in a deck that has Show and Tell, Shallow Grave, Demonic Tutor, Time Walk, Vamp Tutor, Reanimated Tomb, etc., Mystical Tutor should probably be in here. It could be anything, even a Shallow Grave. And then the things that are different about this list compared to Legacy, instead of playing Ancient Tombs and City of Traders, you just get Moxen and Black Lotus. Kataxi Probe, Ancestral Recall, Demonic Tutor, yep, those are all good cards. And then sideboard, kind of built for what we expect to see in Vintage. 2 Tabernacles for Bazaar decks, an extra Force for combo decks or Prison Chops decks, Brazen Borrower and Hurkyl's Recall, also for kind of Prison Chops decks. Boseiju, this is the one I'm most dubious about. This is a big part of Joe's Legacy deck, but the decks in Vintage that I would want this against also play 4 Wastelands and Strip Mine, and that's just going to be something to balance, but I'm still going to bring it in against like Dimir Luris and stuff. Bathing Needle, Null Rod, Long Goodbye, Dress Down, Flusterstorm, boom, all Vintage sideboard cards. Let's get into it. This is pretty simple. This is Omni-Joe from Joe L. It's time for the 5th annual Oklahoma Land Run. This Eternal event is presented by Red Dirt Gaming and will take place July 25th through 28th, 2024 at Game HQ in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Thursday will have trials to win buys in the main events. Friday is the Eternal Team Trios for cash prizes. Saturday is the Legacy main event for a Mox Emerald. Sunday is Vintage main event for a Time Walk. Proxies are allowed for any reserve list card, plus Collector's Edition and Magic 30 cards are legal in all events. There's so much more going on throughout the weekend, including a High Roller Cube draft for Power 9 prizes, Old School charity event to benefit Extra Life, meet artists RK Post and Josh Hass. Check out the Land Run website for a full list of events. Get your spot today and make plans to attend 2024's Oklahoma Land Run. I'm on the draw in round 1 versus I am actually level 1, aka Justin Gennari, aka Vintage Streamer Extraordinaire, aka one of my teammates for the NYSC Open. I was actually just talking to Justin like a day or 2 ago about how I seem to just trophy with everything in Vintage, and it makes it really hard to zero in on a deck choice when they all seem awesome. And here I am playing a brew in a league using my valuable testing time doing this instead, but it's cool. This hand, he revealed a Luris. Normally I would think this is Dimir Luris control or possibly Esper's or Luris control. But knowing Justin, this is probably a PO or Breach combo deck or some sort of storm nonsense more than just regular board thing. Unfortunately, that doesn't change that my hand just doesn't quite do anything. This one's interesting. Vampiric Tutor is a powerful card. I could vamp for Entomb and send an Emrakul on turn 2. I will keep this and put... It's either Mox Pearl or Swamp to the bottom. I think it's Mox Pearl. I think stability is more important than speed, given this hand. So my concern and criticism, my biggest criticism of this deck, and always has been for the whole Legacy run and the whole time I've been talking to and working with Joe on the deck, is we talk a lot about AB combo decks in Eternal formats, like, you know, Pestermite Splitter Twin is an AB combo. Show and Tell on a monster, AB combo. Entomb Reanimate, AB combo. And while both Show and Tell and Reanimator want big monsters in your deck, they don't use them in the same way. Like, putting a monster in your hand to Show and Tell it is not useful for Reanimate. So I've been calling this deck AB1-2, and finding an A and a B and or a 1 and a 2, but they don't actually overlap in any meaningful way. That's always been my biggest worry about this deck. And in Vintage, where everything kind of has to be smooth, it gets even worse. Okay. I can Vamp Tutor in this end step. See if it resolves. I have Shallow Grave and Reanimate now. I have 2 Reanimators. I have 2 1s. Now I need a 2 somewhere. Okay, if I get Entomb here, we could start to have a fight, I guess. Ancestral Recall in the old Upkeep Aruni. This is interesting because I can Brainstorm, put the Entomb in my hand, Black Lotus, Entomb, Emrakul, Shallow Grave all now over the top of the Ancestral Recall. Or I could let him have 3 extra cards in his hand and play for stability. I'm going to Brainstorm. No. I really want to find Force Blue card or some interaction. Thoughtseize. I'm going to let him Ancestral. Obviously, I don't feel good about it, though. Brainstorm. 2 Entombs. Now I feel better. Okay, so I think putting back Snow Swamp is basically free. And now the question is, do I hold this Archon in case I draw a Show and Tell later? Or do I just put it away as the obvious thing now and just send Entomb, Reanimate, Shallow Grave all this turn? I have 3/4 mana. Can't quite do all of it. I can do a lot, though. Underground Sea, Entomb. I am mostly all in here. Opponent does need 2 free permission spells to stop everything I'm doing. I think I want... Like, my Lotus is already used, which means even if I draw 21 cards off of a Grizzlebrand, it's going to be hard to get more mana to do stuff. I would need to find Jet plus Thoughtseize to really be where I want to be. I think I want Grizzlebrand in the graveyard, though. And I'm going to start with Reanimate. I gotta imagine there's at least 1 counterspell over there. Wow, okay. Do I go to 2? Yeah, I think so. All right, I'm going to 2. I'm just seeing what we can come up with. All right. Pearl, Entomb, and Emrakul? Or do I want the life here? I can put him to 0 permanence and 5 life versus my Force of Will. And Archon, yeah, I think Emrakul's better than Archon here. Shallow Grave. All right, we're in there. And doing all this with Force backup. Okay, a Vintage Luris deck that saw 13 cards and none of them are Force of Will. We'll take that. Could still lose here because it's Vintage, but I do have a Force of Will worth of interaction and exactly the life to use 1 Force. Volcanic Island, Brainstorm. All right, it wasn't Lightning Bolt. That would have been a giant middle finger. Mana Crypt. Uh-oh, are we doing stuff? Am I losing? Cycling Lauren revealed. Already made a land drop, though. Taxied Probe. Have a little look-see. Oh, yeah. All right. The raw power of doing all of that with no interaction. Okay, so we saw Grixis mana. We saw Underground Sea and Volcanic Island, which makes me think this is Grixis Breach PO and not the control deck, which means that my original instincts were correct about that. Nullrod, Fluster, Force of Negation, all great cards here. Dress Down is good against Urza's Saga, but that is tertiary to their main plan. Whereas Luris Saga, the constructs are actually plan A. This deck, not so much. Are there 5 cards I want to cut is the problem. I love Thoughtseize. Shieldred's a nice middle ground idiot you could just shove. Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm playing 4 Ponders, which is now allowed in Vintage. This is the first time I've had 4 Ponders in a Vintage deck. Maybe in my entire life. I started playing Vintage around 08. I don't remember how quickly they restricted Ponder when it was printed, but certainly in the last 15 years. 4 Ponders, welcome to the channel. This is a combo deck, so I want the Omniscience in, I want the Shallow Graves in. Those are the things that let me win at, air quotes, instant speed, like either zapping the attack right away or getting the extra turn off Emrakul. You know, I just said all these nice words about Ponder, might not even leave them all in. I can cut an island because this isn't a Wasteland deck if it's the combo build. I'm not super worried about Show and Tell because I think I'm going to shave an Archon. Can I shave monsters? Yeah, probably. Reanimate. Yeah, sideboarding with a deck that needs all of its pieces is kind of challenging. And I just said all those nice words about Ponder, but in a fast matchup, I might not have time to cast that many Ponders, so I'm just cutting those for things that will buy me time in other ways. Okay, I did board out a land, but this is not fair. Mulligan this. I will actually keep this and put an Entomb into the graveyard, or into the bottom of the deck. How sick would it be if Mulligans just put the card right in your graveyard? Dredge would be even more busted. Okay, got Bobbled, Emerald, Academy, Soul Ring. That was a strong start for a Vintage Magic deck. Could have put Luris in hand and didn't. That's just good information to be aware of. I'm going to Probe and could cast Hull Breacher with this mana. All right, we've got Force, Fluster, Breach, Brain Freeze. Okay, so very close to just winning the game. Understood. I can't leave up blue here, so I'm just going to play my Undercity Sewers. And I will delete this blue to Delta. I have Force blue card, Force blue card. Might not be good enough. All right, just passing the turn over there. We're both playing the control game. I have Entomb, Reanimate. Sweet. That Flusterstorm's going to make this challenging. But the Flusterstorm is also why he didn't put Luris in his hand. Interesting. Okay. Storm is 1. This would cost 2. If I reanimate, or if I Entomb in response, that's Storm 2. Then I can make Ancestral cost an additional 3. I am going to Entomb in response. If I could flush out this Flusterstorm and win a fight over Entomb, that's great. Then you can have Ancestral at that point. A Force pitching Brain Freeze. And now Storm is 4. If I force your... What order do I want to do this in? I think I want to force your Force first. Storm is 4. The problem is he could pay for 3 Fluster copies, so I have to make this stack into kind of a bloodbath. And a really interesting thing here, which has borne out over the many turns, is that he doesn't have another blue source, and he's committed to this Fluster now. It's not like he could let this deck resolve and hold up Flusters just in case. Okay, so this is 5 copies on Entomb. I'm going to Fluster Ancestral Recall 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then target this Fluster and this Fluster with my other ones. And this also taps him low. Like, Entomb's still going to get countered. I guess I should have started with these ones, right? I don't know. Entomb's going to get countered, and so is Ancestral Recall. And now we are both just kind of starting over. However, he's a Luris deck, and I am not. It's also a Breach deck. You could just next turn, like, Breach Ancestral and be right back in this. Just pitch the Brain Freeze, so might not even be able to Breach combo anymore. Yep. All right, Luris in the hand. Didn't draw an Entomb. I wonder if I was supposed to do all that in the other direction and just fight all over the Ancestral and then Entomb at the end of it. Okay, can't actually cast Luris or Breach with what he's got, but I have a handful of 2s and no 1. Ox Pearl, we're getting closer to Luris. Strip Mine, what's up, baby? Take out that Academy. And I'd rather Strip Mine than Mox Pearl in this spot, if that were legal. If there was like basic plays next to that Academy, I think I'd still prioritize the Plains. But we have at least cut 3 mana off with a single Strip Mine. Urza Saga, that is the punish for firing off Strip Mine. Come on, Entomb. Demonic Tutor, okay. That's an Entomb eventually. Demonic Tutor. Get Entomb. Fetch. Underground Sea. And I guess I should just Entomb. And if he has a Force, Misstep, got me. Alright, sure. Yep, that makes sense. I was about to say Force would have to have a blue card, and we know 2 of the cards here. Once this Urza Saga gets a Soul Guide Lantern, we're kind of out of luck. Yeah, Misstep was a good card to have as far as blue cards go. And now Saga could get Lotus and just unlock the lures. It could get Soul Guide Lantern and just lock me out of reanimating stuff. Could get Lava Spur Boots and just put me to 6, or I can't cast Reanimate anyway. There's many options here. Soul Guide Lantern confirmed. Manifold Key. And I'm at 9. I don't think Show and Tell even wins it for me. But well, let's find out. Force blue card left over at the end, whatever. Giant middle finger, that's how you play Vintage. Okay. I did lose to Constructs that game. That doesn't mean I need to knee-jerk and bring in all my dress downs. What I actually lost to that game was a bunch of efficient counter magic. The Ponders would have helped in that we both go empty and now we got to find action phase of the game. I just don't know where I even put those. I could bring in Pithing Needle and name Urza Saga, but all of these things like the Needle, the Dress Down, I think that's all just fighting the backup plan, the background noise, which is also important. But while I'm trying to do something so powerful and proactive here, it's a lot to ask. I think I'm just sending the same deck in here, unless I can find a cut for a Ponder back. Could cut a Lorien Revealed and get Ponder instead. Lorien Revealed is part of the mana base. There's 18 mana sources in here, and the 2 Loriens make 20. That would be the 21st versus Ponder, which is also part of your mana base. Alright, I'll go with the Ponder over Lorien. Okay, another 1-lander with the Undercity Sewers. This is the whole thing about, the whole conversation about Undercity Sewers and the Surveil lands in Eternal formats is, well, what if it's your only land and it comes into play tapped? Well, it's happened twice now in a row. Like, this hand is a snap keep all day with Underground Sea, and it's like, is this good enough? I am going to keep it, but I don't like it. Surveil into Force of Will, keep that there. Shields are down. Okay, land go from the opponent. That is some stuff I can work with. Cycle Lorien Revealed for Underground Sea. Ancestral over the top. Justin Gennari, ladies and gentlemen. Vintage Expert. I think I'm going to force pitching Show and Tell. I can also try to bottleneck all the cards and fight over my own combo. All right, I'm going to go for that, even though it is concerning. Has its own set of problems. I'm going to cast Ponder instead of Mystical Tutor. The land number 3 for Show and Tell and Brainstorm. I will keep this. Like I said, this deck it's a combo deck built for stability, not speed. And finding land number 3, getting the engine going, there's upside to all of that. Time walking into an Urza Saga is pretty strong. I have Show and Tell though, which is great news for me because this Urza Saga with the Soul Guide Lantern will just shut off the graveyard. And I hesitated for a long time on Ancestral Recall and for just like half a second on Time Walk. I imagine my opponent has read by now that I have Force of Will. Mana Vault resolves. Tapping the Saga to do that is exciting. Soul Guide Lantern. I was already not planning on playing around that card. Eats my Ponder. Could put Lurrus in hand with this floating mana, if nothing else. Demonic Tutor, that card's really good. Resolves. Solarian Academy is good for 2 mana here, or just leaving it up for Flusterstorm. That's so much worse. Okay, I'm gonna start with a Brainstorm. See some stuff. Flusterstorm Emrakul, okay. Well, I could Show and Tell Emrakul next turn. If I put back Shieldred and Mystical Tutor. Alright, I kind of just have to Time Walk here, and if he has Flusterstorm this into untap and win, then he's going to get it. Alright, Show and Tell happened. But we've experienced, we're now face to face with the problem that I was talking about this deck having in Vintage. I can put Emrakul into play here with Flusterstorm backup, But then what? Like, he's just a Demonic Tutored. He could even have Time Vault in hand, and then I literally just lose to the Saga trigger. I think this is what I can do here, but I don't think it's going to win. Like, put Emrakul into play with Force Blue card and Flusterstorm backup, die. That's what's about to happen. Force of Will pitching PO. I think I want to force back. I just think Flusterstorm is more powerful. And he could have put Lurrus in hand and didn't last turn, which makes me think that he's got another Fluster, and if I Fluster first, I don't get it. I put in Emrakul, you put in Dress Down. Okay, Emrakul can be destroyed this turn. Okay, Dress Down trigger on the stack. I still have Flusterstorm back here. He's got a ton of mana. Vintage decks don't usually play like Aether Spellbomb the way Legacy Saga decks do, Blue Saga decks. I mean, he didn't put in Time Vault. I'll take that as a big W. Does still get a tutor here. Recently resolved Demonic Tutor. And Flusterstorm doesn't counter Time Vault. So I'll have to fluster any tutor that could end up getting Time Vault, if that's what's happening. Manifold Key. Untapping Mana Vault. Okay, we're not Time Vaulting this turn. Might just combo off some other way. Paradoxical Outcome Storm is 1. Has access to 1, 2, 3, 4 mana right now. I think I just have to let this ride. Though it does force to tap out of the... Alright, no, I'll just let the 3 get drawn and then Flusterstorm can hit the next important thing. Storm is 3. Storm is 4. Storm is 5. Storm is 6. Unfortunately, all of the Storm spells are artifacts here, which also pay for themselves under Fluster. Okay, so you got 5 in the pool. I have to Fluster this because he could just put Soul Guide Land, or my brain is not working right now. I could put Time Vault on top of the deck, flip top, and then cast Time Vault. All right, I am F6'd from here. All right, spinning top in response. That's less mana you have to work with. And if you flip the top to draw a Flusterstorm right now, then you don't have top to flip to get Time Vault into your hand right now. Emrakul is also not lethal here, just pointing that out. It's got more than 15 life and more than 6 permanents. I believe Shoulder is still on top of my deck. I don't think I've shuffled since I put it back there. Okay, doing the top trick to draw 2 cards off of top here. And found your own Flusterstorm. So you are going to get a Vampiric Tutor. Soul Guide Lantern can hop to draw a card, but now the key is tapped and can't cast Time Vault with 1 mana, so that's off. But Vamp Tutor can still get some 1 mana blue spell. Ancestral's already used. Alright, yeah, this is going to be fun. Let's see what happens. The Vamp shuffles away the top. Oh, wait. No, the top drew itself. Right, that's how that happens. Why? Okay, there's a Pithing Needle. Naming Abandon Hope. Okay, so he's trying to set up... Oh, the Shoulder's actually just going to win here. That's so sick. Yeah, the Vamp Tutor actually put him to 1 instead of 3 after the Emrakul attack. And Children's going to be lethal. Just her trigger. Yeah, dumping out Pithing Needle was just trying to get another turn. And this is perfect. This is 3 mana. If he draws Time Vault, he can actually cast it and do the thing. However, the Phyrexian Mother is coming. Apocalypse Mother. We got a no in the chat. Yeah, I know. Opponent had a sick line. Shouldred's not impressed, though. Bang. All right, sweet. I'm not sure how we got away with that game 3, but that was sweet. GG's. On to the next round. The NYSE Open is a prestigious, long-running vintage tournament based out of New York City. It's returning again this summer, June 22nd, 2024 in Plainview, New York. This 15 proxy event has a $500 entry. That's a lot of money, but what are we playing for? First place gets a Black Lotus. Second through 8th place get Time Twister, Time Walk, and all 5 Moxen. At 115 players, a playset of Bazaar Baghdad is added to the prize pool. At 135, 4 Mishra's Workshops. At 155, 4 Foil Gaia's Cradle. This prize pool is better than Eternal Weekend. If you think it's worth playing for, sign up for the event on melee.gg or use the link in the video description, and I will definitely see you there. I'm on the draw in round 2. My hand has a Thoughtseize and basically nothing else. I'm going to mulligan this. Yeah, okay. How about turn 2 Show and Tell? I will keep this one. And I'm going to bottom. This is actually interesting because Show and Tell is the redundant card in the hand. However, if this matchup ends up being about counter magic, they counter the first Show and Tell. It just functions as Thoughtseize for the second Show and Tell. I could bottom, like, Island and then use Ponder to find another land. Mana is the most redundant thing in my deck. I don't think I want to take that risk, though. If I knew the matchup was slow and about counter spells, I'd probably do that, but there's a lot of vintage matches that just aren't about that, including decks with Mishra's Workshop in them. This looks like Jewel Shops, in which case it sucks that we don't have a Force of Will, because this is going to hurt. This is also going to be a really tricky matchup because they can absorb an Archon of Cruelty trigger pretty easily, and then they play for Phyrexian Metamorphs that just kill Archon of Cruelty. I'd love a Force or Thoughtseize. Okay. I am going to Ponder, and I'd still love a Force or Thoughtseize. Mox Sapphire, Otawara. These are not the cards I want. Shuffle. Another Show and Tell. Okay. We are probably just going to get jeweled straight to hell on their turn. 6 mana available. Didn't do anything turn 1. Like, didn't present a win turn 1. Which means their turn 2 is going to be completely messed up. Yep, there it is. Predictable as anything, yet still can't do anything about it. Gitaxian Probe. I could just concede here. Yeah, I don't want my opponent to know what I'm doing. And we're not beating this. The Jewel with 7 cards in hand and me with no interaction? No thanks. Null Rod's coming in. Hurkyl's Recall is, like, fine, I guess. Force Negation's great. Pithing Needle names the One Ring. That's very good. I'm going to think about Brazen Borrower. Not that I think bouncing any individual permanent is really even that important versus their deck, but having a surprise 3/1 that could, like, poke and steal a Jewel, that's pretty cool. Shieldred's great. Grizzlebrand's great. Omniscience is great. Emrakul's great. Archon, kind of medium for the reasons I said. Thoughtseize great. Opponent doesn't know what I'm doing. I have that going for me. This is not a deck that attacks my mana. I can shave a basic island. Or Show and Tell might just be a huge spew versus the deck that's trying to put an insanely powerful 6-drop permanent into play. But without Show and Tell, then Omniscience doesn't work. And I'm fully in on Reanimate, which means that I guess Emrakul still works because of Shallow Graves. I don't really expect them to have Graveyard Hate if they didn't see any cards from my deck. I'm going to try this. I don't know if it's correct, but I don't really want to cast Show and Tell into this deck if I can avoid it. Okay, turn 1 Null Rod, I'll keep. And if they counter the Null Rod, I just hit them with Grizzlebrand next turn. See Emerald. The old Artifact Acceleration into Null Rod strategy. Usually when you're doing this, it's worse for the other deck, and it's definitely worse for the other deck. Force Pitching Metamorph, okay. They did have the Force. Can they turn around and still present a win on turn 1? Mana, 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 mana. Yeah, how about that Null Rod? It's going to be an outcome or a ring. Mystic Forge, okay. Emrakul actually looks insane here. Exiling your top card. Okay, now I have a real decision to make. I'm going to draw for turn. I want to just Grizzlebrand. Grizzlebrand would draw 21 cards this turn, which could find the other Null Rod. It's slightly worse than 50-50 that it finds the other Null Rod. Emrakul just puts you to no permanence, but also puts me to no plan. I think I like you having no permanence. Entomb, Emrakul, Shallow Grave. Now Null Rod's back in my deck for whatever that's worth. Okay, no permanence in 3 life. All right, yeah, they don't even want to keep playing. Sure. All right, it would have taken me a long time to find the other 3 damage, but cool, I liked that. Now they know I'm a graveyard deck, and I'm going to slide my way over to MTG Goldfish and see what the graveyard hate in the Jewel Shops deck is. Luckily, my opponent, Jose, actually has posted lists recently. I see a Grafdigger's Cage, and that's it. Yeah, not even a Soul Guide Lantern or anything in the main deck? Okay. How do I feel about being all in on Reanimator and having this full interactive suite versus Grafdigger's Cage? Because if they do have the Cage, I have Herx and Brazen Borrower that could remove it temporarily, or I could fight over it, or I could tutor for and cast Shieldred and just try to solo like that. But if we're in that kind of game, beating the Ursa Saga is going to be really important. And my dress downs aren't in. Dress down also stops Metamorph, something that I learned recently. In a video a couple weeks ago, I thought if Metamorph copied a non-creature on ETB, it would get around dress down, but it actually doesn't. That was me not fully understanding that rule. Dress down actually does just full counter. Phyrexian Metamorph enters as a 0/0 and dies. If I do this, what happens? These cards have to go somewhere. I could shave Gitaxian Probe because I don't really care what's in their hand. My job is to stop their game-winning spells, and my job is to resolve my game-winning spells, and what's in their hand doesn't affect either of those jobs. I also have a lot of tutors in my deck if I want to leave in one show and tell just in case, but then that's another card I have to cut. I think I'm going to stay full Reanimate, no show and tell, and then... Or Lauren Revealed could become a show and tell. All right. This is still... Oh, I left the probe in. All right. Here we go. 60 cards. Kind of a Frankenstein. This might be still just 1 or 2 cards off of where I want to be. Okay, Forest Blue card, Thoughtseize, and Tomb Shallowgrave. Keep. This is what I'm looking for in life versus a deck like this one. Unfortunately, with this hand, I would have to force a Grafdigger's Cage. Mox Ruby. Mana Vault. Ancient Tomb. Okay, I get to fire Thoughtseize before they do anything. That's a huge upgrade for my life. Thoughtseize you. What you got over there? Force pitching Metamorph. All right. They're holding 1 card, and it was worth forcing to protect. From Thoughtseize, it's probably Jewel. What a surprise. Force of Will that. Urza Saga. Excellent follow-up. If I draw a mana source... Oh, okay, that gets Black Lotus. All right, I just win right now. Sick. All right, Demonic Tutor for Black Lotus, and then I Entomb Shallowgrave, Emrakul, and that doesn't actually just win, but they scooped last game to it. They'll be at 2. Then I just got to find literally anything to keep playing. But literally anything's kind of a tall ask from the resources that I have. I actually think Grizzlebrand's better here. Black Lotus, black, Entomb, Grizzlebrand, Shallow Grave. I'm going to draw some cards before combat. Null Rod, okay. All right, cool. Vintage players love conceding when they're slightly behind. They obviously don't know that my deck actually needs a lot to go right here to actually lock them out, but I mean, those were 2 good showings, and we remain undefeated.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I am on the draw in round number 3. My hand, unfortunately, does not cast this Ancestral Recall, or else I'd be in. Alright, this has no interaction, but a bunch of selection, and it has half of one of the combos. I am going to keep this against medical advice, and I'm going to bottom Otawara. Obviously, there's vintage matches where I just freaking lose right now. But my opponent has revealed Luris, which means this might be a slower matchup. Unlike Justin, who I see Luris, and I assume it's a combo deck. But just like Justin, they have the turn 1 Ancestral Recall. A show and tell is exciting. I'm going to ponder. Now I'm looking for a baddie to shove in. Not there. I could keep this other ponder. I am going to keep this other ponder. And I'm probably going to cycle Lorien Revealed to shuffle those other cards. Okay, I have a 1 and an A, looking for a 2 or a B. And ideally some protection, because my opponent just drew 1,000 cards. Strip mining my basic, you got me. I'm ready. I am going to get another basic island. This deck does play the full boat of Wasteland. Another show and tell. I'm probably going to get Bowmastered here, but I'm still going to cast Ponder because having something to do here is more important. Didn't get Bowmastered. I am going to shuffle this, though. It does not do anything I needed to. Wait. There was a Shallow Grave there. Shit. Well, I clicked through that faster than I should have. But I don't think I want a Shallow Grave there anyway because I don't have 2 black. And I can't access Emrakul, and that hand had no shuffle. Or that Ponder had no shuffle. Except the Entomb, which I can't cast because I don't have 2 black. Or I don't have 8 black out. Yeah, I should have thought about Shallow Grave more, though I think I still would have ended up shuffling it away. Mystical Tutor's exciting. That can access a Force of Will, a Reanimate, or a Ancestral Recall. Opponent is Time Walking, the old Explore Time Walk. If they have a combo pivot that they suddenly get into, then that's going to be tough. Luris in hand. Okay, I can try to Ancestral Recall this turn, which gets Flusterstormed like a boss. I think I'm just going to draw. Cool. All right. Now I have a fun game that we can play, which is cast Show and Tell and let them counter it. Deal Duress Show and Tell. If this resolves, it's going to be so embarrassing, but I think they're going to counter it. We take these risks. Yep, got 2 cards out of that one. Force of Negation, Spreading Seas, Underground Sea. Okay, happy with that. They're probably just going to start the turn by wastelanding me. Caustic Bronco, giddy up. Right, I'm going to Entomb here. See if they want to have another fight over a spell. Because Mystical Tutor for Ancestral starting to look both reasonable and like it might resolve. 4 unknowns in the hand. And if they gave me credit on Show and Tell, they're going to think that one of the things in my hand is a monster. Which it currently isn't, which I know, but they don't. I'm going to try to Ancestral here. They just used their misstep. If they have Flusterstorm, they got me. If they spend 2 cards on this, mostly fine. Or it can just all resolve, and I have Show and Tell plus Atraxa. Ready to go. B-Storm. Do I want this? I think I do. Okay. We've wiggled this game into a spot where things are happening. Caustic Bronco gets to attack, and Dark Confidant a card here. Spreading Seas is fine. I am not Nurza Saga deck. I am not who they wanted with the Spreading Seas. Another Bronco. Giddy up. I think I want... So my Ancestral Recall resolved last turn. They've drawn 1 mystery card plus Spreading Seas. I think I want to Brainstorm first and see if I could come up with a Force of Will. And I did. Life is good. Put back Shieldred and Thoughtseize, and then hope they don't have Flusterstorm. Force of Negation pitching Spreading Seas. Force of Will pitching Lorien Revealed. They'll probably put in Luris. I'm putting in Atraxa. Orcish Bowmaster. Okay, that card's good too. Luris and 1 mystery card in their hand. It's kind of a massive whiff. No land here. All right, Force Shieldred. I could just go Grizzlebrand Show and Tell. That's not actually good though. Shieldred is closer to castable. Force Shieldred. Time Walk. I don't want to pitch Time Walk to Force, but that is the best card I can untap with in my hand. Just going to try to do it with Atraxa here. Squad's coming. 2 Bronco triggers. Take 0. Take 0. Smart. I think I want to kill Bowmaster. They can recast any of these with Luris. Bowmaster's still the card I'm worried about. Just in case I end up in a world where Grizzlebrand is on the table. Bobble. Sucks neither of these dealt 1 damage because I'm actually showing lethal. Okay, cool. They've had enough, Vintage players. They love giving up when they're not dead. Okay, cool. Just worked my way through that. The bluff Show and Tell was actually the game-winning play there. Gotta find those lines if you're a combo player. Okay, Flusterstorm and Long Goodbye both look good here. Pithing Needle on Wasteland's not bad, but I can also play through it. I think Fluster and Long Goodbye are what I'm looking for. I think I want to shave a Shallow Grave. They're going to have effective Graveyard Hate. Whereas against Jewel Shops, I wanted to be off Show and Tell almost entirely. I think versus this deck, I want to back off of Reanimation stuff. If I shave an Entomb and a Reanimate and a Shallow Grave, I still have 3 Entombs, 3 ways to bring monsters back. Though I think also kind of just going over the top of this deck's really important. It looks like stock lists generally have a Cage and a Lantern, which is actually not even that much. And they do play creatures. I do want these 4 cards in. I just have to figure out where they're coming from. I could cut an off-color Mox, but I think mana is important here. Shave a Lorien Revealed. Gitaxian Probe's really good in this matchup. Maybe I just bring in 1 Long Goodbye. This is something I talked about with Joe. Like, the sideboard needs proper mapping. Like, we just have some cards that are good against the format, but we don't really have a plan for what comes specifically out versus good decks and what comes in. I'm going to keep this Thoughtseize Grip. Underground Sea pass. We're going to get Ancestral in the upkeep again. This is the way of things around here. I will just lead on the Underground Sea. If they wasteland it, it's fine. I got functionally 3 more lands in my hand. Flustering my Thoughtseize, that's fine. I lose the information, but Flusterstorm is a card I would have liked out of their hand. Saga. Soul Guide Lantern, okay. We're show and tell gaming. I can't spend a Force of Will on that. I refuse. I guess can't and I refuse are different statements, but they're both true. Thoughtseize you again. 4 cards in your hand, what are they? Force of Negation and Mindbreak Trap. There's also a Wasteland there, but if they Wasteland me, then Saga doesn't make constructs. I'm going to take the Force, and I'm going to play Underground Sea. My plan is to Mystical Tutor this turn. Probably getting Ancestral and just trying to outmuscle this stuff. They did play out the Wasteland. End step Mystical Tutor. We've got Ancestral, Demonic. Yeah, it's just Ancestral. If I play my land, I can play around Flusterstorm, so I will. Something's happening. All right. Oh, wow. They're giving up the construct to try to rip into a counterspell for this. I like that. Awesome. Okay. Ponder is spell number 2. And the Soul Guide Lantern's gone. Now Entomb is live. But they might get Grafdigger's Cage off of this. I'm still going to take the Entomb. And I'll pass. I kind of love that they gave up the Soul Guide Lantern and they gave up the construct. Now they want a construct. I'm not going to play around Pithing Needle. Executive decision. I just think that's a really crappy thing for them to tutor for here. When they could get, like, Black Lotus and represent Mindbreak Trap, or Black Lotus and get Luris going. Or Grafdigger's Cage and lock out my combo. Okay, so they're representing Hardcast Mindbreak Trap right now. I think I want to get Undercity Sewers rather than Entomb right now. Otawara, doesn't matter. Draw for turn. Black Lotus. Okay. Do I think that they want to hardcast Mindbreak Trap on Lorien Revealed? Do I think they'd... I'm going to start with Entomb. Because if they're going to hardcast Mindbreak Trap, I'd rather it be on Entomb, and then I want to draw 3 with Lorien. They did not choose that fight. Archon versus Atraxa. This means I'm going to have to force a Will Luris next turn. I'll put Atraxa in there. Polluted Delta, and I'm going to cast Black Lotus. My plan is to hardcast Force on Luris, so they can't Soul Guide Lantern me. I was hoping they'd fight over Entomb there. Another one! Alright, 3 gets the Luris. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Force of Will. They can hardcast Mindbreak Trap back at this, but that costs them their Luris. Where if they just grab Luris, they could Soul Guide Lantern me next turn. They're just keeping this trap up. Yeah, this is getting tough. End step fetch, just keep loading up Underground Seas. Cast Lorien Revealed. If they have Bowmaster, it's going to hurt, but I would like more cards, please. That's fine. It hurts, but it's fine. I would rather draw 3 cards than have all this extra life. But now they can get Luris, cast Luris, and do the other thing. Vamp Tutor, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 10. Alright, yeah, Vamp Tutor kills me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I draw a Mox, I can cast Archon of Cruelty. Brainstorm, show off. I can't do that. I would die. I think I need the other Long Goodbye in here. Okay, I can go to 1 if I Vamp Tutor. Better do it. I die to another Bowmaster here. Just outright. I don't think there's even a card I could get because they have the trap up. Long Goodbye kills. Not enough. Yeah, we're just dead. Or I guess I could get Long Goodbye, kill Bowmaster, cast Brainstorm. Nah, I'm just dead. All right. Okay, that second Soul Guide Lantern really jacked me up, cost me a Force of Will that I thought I had more time to work with. They have 2 Soul Guide Lanterns in their deck. That's a good name for Pithing Needle, or I could just focus on being a Show and Tell deck. Yeah, I think I'm going to shave another Entomb for Long Goodbye. And do I want these Dress Downs in? That wipes out Sagas, it turns off Luris and Bowmaster and Bronco all for a turn. Like, I could just cut 2 Entombs and Shallow Grave and be a Show and Tell deck that reanimates out of their graveyard. Like, take your Bowmaster, take your Bronco. Imagine Broncoing in this deck. Wow. Deadly. I'm just thinking about stuff. Nothing's locked in yet. I guess I'd get Brazen Borrower if I'm going fully no Reanimate. The Entomb Reanimate is just such a dumpster, though, if I want to collapse this game down to short turns. I think I'd rather try ignoring Hate. I'm just trying stuff here. I have no idea if this is right, but Joe sends me these decks to see how I play them, and this might be a space of exploration that Joe might not have found on his own. I don't know, just doing stuff. Doing whatever. I got 2 Reanimates for their graveyard, bringing in the Boseiju that I just missed last time. This is the matchup I identified as where we'd want Boseiju. Okay. We're a Show and Tell deck now. Okay. Keep this. I like Ancestral Recall. It's my first time ever casting Ancestral Recall in this league. On turn 1, in an opening hand. I've tutored for it a lot. Opponent's on 6. I hope they mulliganed for Graveyard Hate. Mox Emeraldo. I'm going to pass and do this in their upkeep, even though I wouldn't have to go to discard because I have 7. I get to play around Force of Negation, a card that I know they play in large numbers, so they have to misstep or Force of Will here. Looks like none of the above is the answer. Boseiju, Show and Tell, DT, all present in my hand. They're bobbling me. Now I kind of wish I led on Underground Sea, but it's hard to predict those things versus a Wasteland deck. Soul Guide Lantern. Oh, you got me. Okay. My Ancestral Recall is no longer in my deck. Mystical Tutor. What does this do? I'm going to start with Ponder. If I find a monster, I'll just play Boseiju and try to shove next turn. That's Atraxa and Force of Will. Okay. I'll keep those. Underground Sea, Atraxa, Force of Will. No shuffle. Play Boseiju. Good luck, have fun. Well, 5 Wastelands in the deck. Don't have high hopes of this. Okay, they're immediately drawing cards with Soul Guide Lantern. Like, oh, well, gotta answer that one. Yep, had the Wasteland. It's fine. Because I got Show and Tell too. Pithing Needle, sure. Name Grizzlebrand? What do we name here? Blind name Polluted Delta? Grizzlebrand was the name. Okie dokie. Alright, now is the choice between stability and shoving. And I think I just shove, because even if they counter it, I can Mystical reshove next turn. Let's go. Spell Pierce. Force of Will. Keep the Mystical up, because that's the good one. Atraxa, they could put in a Dress Down, and then I don't get creatures, or don't get cards. Alright, what do we got here? Dress Down and Omniscience are both enchantments, that's funny. Blusterstorm is my instant. A lot of sorceries here. I believe I want Dress Down as the enchantment. Underground Sea is my land. And then Thoughtseize versus Gitaxian Probe is my options here. I'll take the Probe. What you got over there? Tell me about it. Got Wasteland and Lorien Revealed. Okay, those cards don't beat Atraxa. Moment of Truth. They're done! And we remain undefeated. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Receivables has it at youtube.com/thereceivables. I'm on the play in round 4. My hand has force blue card, too many monsters. My blue card is the way to change my monsters to different cards. I like Thoughtseize. I like Brainstorm. I think I have to mulligan this, though. It's kind of already a 6. I don't want to say it's already a 5 because I am a show and tell deck, but having 2 monsters here, I'm going to send it. This one I'll keep. And I'm going to send the Undercity Sewers away. Let's get to work. Looking for a show and tell. I do like Thoughtseize. I don't like Emrakul, but I will shuffle before I have to draw that card. What are you up to? Moment of truth. Big reveal. Once upon a time. Alright, it's a bizarre deck. I occasionally entertain the idea of forcing Once Upon a Time versus bizarre decks, but snapping off a 7 like this... Oh, not a bizarre deck. Just a mopey-dopey creature deck. I could force the Lotus. Alright, yeah. I'm gonna force this, because if you're Once Upon a Timing for creatures and playing Black Lotus before your land drop, this smells like weakness to me. And rather than getting double spelled, I could just get 0 spelled. Alright, Wasteland. Speaking of weakness. Okay, Ottawar in my hand. I'm gonna fetch basic Swamp and Thoughtseize them. Okay, we are a mopey-dopey creature deck. This thing is an Ophidian that I can't cast spells during their turn. It's only an Ophidian if their creatures are bigger than their base power, though, which is what Noble Hierarch does. I think Thalia is going to be a huge heckin' problem for me. Yeah, very glad I countered the Lotus. I think I'm taking Thalia here, because my plan here involves putting Archon of Cruelty into play, and I need to do a bunch of cantripping to get to that point. Mox Pearl was a good draw. This accelerates all of their garbage. I thought I had a turn to operate here, but I don't. Probably going to see the Outland Liberator. And it's probably going to go to nighttime pretty much immediately. Okay. Play Ottawara, and yeah, it's going to be nighttime. I'm going to hold back Black Lotus or else it just dies. But I do now have the mana to cast Show and Tell if I draw one. I'm looking for a Tutor or a Show and Tell straight up. And this seems like a great matchup to have an Archon of Cruelty in play against. Here's Quetzal. And I take 3. Come on, deck. Entomb. Interesting. Alright, well, I could flip Fervent Trapbreaker back to 2/2, but I don't think that's important in my life right now. Finding this Entomb is huge, though, because that more than doubles the outs in my deck. Now they have to make the decision of, do they want to attack for 4 and draw a card, or attack for 6? Because this thing is whenever a creature with power greater than its base power deals combat damage to a player, which Noble Hierarch does do. Yeah, yes, they are choosing to draw a card rather than deal more damage. So 4 plus 6 is 10. 6 plus 6 is 12. This doesn't actually change the clock. So I guess it makes sense to get the card here. If they draw some creature here, High Noon, each player can't cast more than one spell each turn. Well, that probably kills me. Oh, right. There's a fucking Quetzal in play. I was supposed to Entomb on my turn. Yep, forgot about that text. Busy dying to everything else going on. And now even if I draw the Show and Tell, I lose. Because I can't cast it. Alright, yep. I'm dead to that card. That's fine. I messed up a little bit with the Quetzal as well. Okay, Long Goodbye coming in. This matchup should be phenomenal, I think. Now that I know I'm up against it, I can make more informed decisions. Press down Brazen Borrow, Long Goodbye. Opponent luckily just didn't even see anything that my deck actually does. So, Entomb and Show and Tell. I'm just trying to dumpster them. I don't think I care what's in their hand. Even Force of Will looks kind of unnecessary here if I just shove. But I'd hate to lose to something stupid like Endurance or get High Nooned out of an Entomb Reanimate line. I think I'm going to shave some of the Ponders, and I could shave an off-color Mox, but mana seems worth it against this Wasteland deck. Maybe Thoughtseize doesn't matter. But on the play, I like Thoughtseize. I like Thoughtseize more than I like Force of Will. Shave a Lorien, and can this deck beat Omniscience? Yes, with the homie we've already seen, where they put in High Noon off Show and Tell. That's actually beating. And I think I will shave one Thoughtseize and do it like this. I'm not bringing in Tabernacles, even though they're a creature deck, because it's not for creature decks, it's for Bazaar decks. This looks really strong. I'm going to keep this. I can Demonic Tutor for Show and Tell and get Omniscience into play. I just need something to do with Omniscience. Thoughtseize you. We could see something like Elvish Spirit Guide, Veil of Summer here. Vintage Creature, Hate Bear Brews, do all sorts of stuff to try to keep up, and that's one of them. Oof, Once Upon a Time, Thalia. Strip Mine. Okay. The Strip Mine's really annoying. Every card in their hand's annoying, but that's how this deck works. It's weird because I mostly don't care about Collector Oof or Force of Vigor, but exactly this hand that I happen to have in front of me does care about both. If they turn 1 Collector Oof, I could take the Mox Pearl and then make whatever they do happen on turn 2 instead of turn 1. And if they Strip Mine me, it's another turn I get to function. Yeah, I'm going to take the Pearl, actually. And I'm not going to give them any targets for any other stuff. I could just DT for Ancestral here and send it, but I don't want to burn off a tutor when I have a combo piece in my hand. Once Upon a Time. Noble Hierarch. Okay, that's another incentive not to Strip Mine me. Windswept Teeth, not a Strip Mine, importantly. And Hierarch. Okay, build your own Mox Pearl. That makes me feel like I took the right card. Come on, deck. Give me just something good. Something to tie this all together. Okay. Black Lotus, Demonic Tutor, and Tomb Reanimate. GG. Okay. Black Lotus. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's one unknown in their hand. Black, black, black. It would have to be something like Mindbreak Trap, Endurance, Surgical Extraction for me to care about it here. Demonic Tutor for Entomb. Entomb for... I think I want Archon. Archon. Reanimate Archon. We're in there. And they have to discard something as well. Probably discard Force of Vigor. Or just concede. Okay. Yeah. Alright. Now they know what I'm up to with the Entombs. Those are probably less reliable. I'm sure this deck plays a ass load of Graveyard Hate. If they know to bring it in. Which I smartly died without doing anything game 1. So they didn't know to bring it in. But if I bring back in Ponder Thoughtseize and cut like Shallow Grave, Entomb, that plays around Graveyard Hate, gives me more selection on the Show and Tell side of things. But I still have kind of enough to pop here. Do I want to be Thoughtseizing on the draw is the question. Probably. I think, no. I think I do want 3 Entombs. I'll back off a little bit, but I still think this package is powerful enough to just jam over the top of 8-bear decks like this. You really need to vintage them. Because the whole purpose of decks like this in the format, their role is to make it so you can't vintage. But if you do vintage, they're playing draft and you're playing vintage. So you really do need to keep a critical mass, but while also respecting the possibility that they are building a counter deck that makes your critical vintage mass not function. But they haven't seen Show and Tell yet. Okay, no. I have the 2 off-color Mox in, unfortunately, in this hand that's otherwise pretty awesome. Gonna mulligan it. Long Goodbye, Jet, and some card selection. I will keep this and get rid of this Underground Sea. Alright, let's see how insane their turn 1 is. Fox Emerald. Black Lotus. Okay, so they do have the nut draw. Basically, the nut draw is Black Lotus. Did you have your 1 of Black Lotus in your hand to cast 2 spells on turn 1, or are you going Land, Noble Hierarch? Those are the only permutations of Magic the Gathering from these decks. It might sound like I have complete disdain for these decks, and I don't. I'm just explaining that a deck full of hate bears in the vintage format comes with associated risks. Okay, here we go. Lotus has been sacrificed after a long period of tanking about what's going on over there. Archon of Emeria. Okay, that card's pretty strong. Cavern of Souls. Still can't cast another spell. I get to go Swamp Mox Jet here. These don't come in tapped because this is basic, and that's not what Archon does. I can't cast any more spells, but Long Goodbye's up. Unless I get End Step Force of Vigor down to 1 card in hand, which I'm also okay with. Containment Priest, sure. That card exists now. Alright, so Containment Priest is the card I have to kill here because my deck just doesn't work with it in play. And Inti, this is whenever you attack, on target attacking creature. Okay. I'm going to let them attack first and see if they target Containment Priest, because if I do that, I get to fizzle this ability as well. Nope, Priest not even entering the red zone, it seems. They're thinking about it. Okay, just Archon is attacking. Let's see if they discard. Flip a card. They've already cast a spell this turn. Discarded High Noon. You may play that card until your next end step. All right, so if this has to be a land to come into play, of course it is. Why would any opponent I ever play against just miss on anything? It's not possible. Yep, Cavern's in. Okay, end step. Long goodbye the Containment Priest. Draw for turn is Entomb. That's actually really good. Island cycle for basic island. Basic island, Ponder, Entomb. None of this is affected by their hate bears. I really wanted to find a Reanimate there, but I did kind of pivot off those a bit. All my Reanimates are still in the deck, right? Or, no, I boarded out one Shallow Grave. One Shallow Grave, one Entomb. Okay. Just thinking about the timetable if I keep this Ponder. The Entomb shuffles away. The Attract's in the Force of Will. I take 6 next turn. I'm at 11. I take 7 the turn after that. I'm at 4. Reanimate's off at that point. Yeah, I think I'm just shuffling. Undercity Sewers. Garbo. Straight Garbo. Okay, my plan is to Entomb Archon of Cruelty with my 1 spell on their turn, and then we'll hope to draw a useful card. Here comes the attack. It's for 5 right now. If they use Inti, it'll be 6. Discarded Luminarch Aspirant. They flipped High Noon, a card that they can't cast right now with their mana. I'm at 11. It appears they still have a human left in the hand. Thalia. Entomb in response to that. Get the Archon. Okay, I have 1 big draw step here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, 1 huge draw step here. Reanimate. Ponder. Okay. Ponder could find Shallow Grave. The one of. Ponder also costs 2. Just painful, horrible stuff. No, the Reanimate's there, but I'm locked out. Yeah, Reanimate doesn't help anymore. I have to shuffle this. Shuffle. Found Shieldred. Interesting. The card's not good, but it is there. Looking for Shallow Grave. Syrian Forest, not it. Okay, we're probably dead. There comes a bunch of damage. Discarded Cavern of Souls. And they flipped another High Noon. Okay. Okay, Shallow Grave is my only out here. Come on, deck. Give me that 1 outer. Sweet, sweet 1 outer. Entomb, you fucker. Nope, we're dead. All right. Yep, just got squeezed out there. Opponent started 2 of the 3 games on Black Lotus. Good job, I guess. Spiking that 1 outer in a deck that otherwise can't cast spells. But also, AB 1-2. My deck, if I was a more streamlined deck, I would care less about something like that. All good. On to the final round. Welcome to TopDeck.gg, your community's home for everything competitive Magic has to offer. If you're hosting an event, playing for a huge prize, or advertising your events to thousands of players, we've got you covered. Using intuitive pairing software, playing Magic is a breeze. Players just have to sign up online, then scan the QR code in-store. Give competitors the gift of perfect information as their bracket updates in real time. The self-reporting software saves you time and leaves paper match slips in the past. Leave the heavy lifting to TopDeck.gg so your community can relax and focus on playing Magic. On the draw, in the final round, I have a no-lander against another Lyra strategy. I'm going to mulligan. I will keep this hand. And I'm going to bottom 1 of the Entombs. Mishra's Bauble, they're also on a multi 6. But bobbling yourself. Strip mine. Alright, good start for my 1-lander. Come on, Reanimate. Mox Jet. I'm actually pretty happy with that. I'm going to start with Brainstorm. And just see where that gets me. Because with Black Lotus and Jet in hand, alright, I can just show and tell. If I put back Entomb and Mox Jet, I could just show and tell Emrakul with Force Backup and hope it's good enough. It's going to have to be good enough. There's no other plan. Entomb, Jet, go back. Yep. I'm just going to pass into second main and see if they crack off Strip Mine like a maniac. There's no reason to do that, but I just want to give them a chance to be a fool. Show and tell. Force of Negation pitching spell appears. Force of Will, pitching Lorien revealed. And can you beat an Emrakul with the 3 cards in your hand? Lavinia. Good try. Lavinia does brick that Mox Jet on top of my deck, so if they can beat this Emrakul, I'm just drawing blanks for the next 3 turns. But it's a tall ask. Strip Mine, okay. Moral Victory. I control 0 lands, you got me. Alright, kill Lavinia, put you to 5. Do I even want to show them this Mox Jet? I don't think so. No Satisfaction. I think Caracas is like the only card in Magic they can even draw there. Okay, cool. We're playing against at least blue-white, maybe Esper Luris. They saw me show and tell, but that is the better plan. They didn't see me Reanimator, so I don't need to do that full juke yet. Longaby, Fluster, Beseju. If they have Lavinia, Omniscience gets pretty awkward. I'm just going to shave off of that a little bit. Lorien revealed. They are a Wasteland deck, going to leave my lands alone. I could back off an Entomb, because these decks main deck graveyard hate. An Entomb, a Shallow Grave. I like Probe, I like Tutor, I like my Forces. Off-color Mox could be the grab here. Yeah, I think it's finally time to cut an off-color Mox. I've been talking about it the whole league. But now we've seen Lavinia. You can exactly cast Atraxa with the Nut Draw, even if you cut 1 Mox, because the 2 Moxen are the 2 other Atraxa colors, then you still have Black Lotus, so you can still cut 1 and Lotus it out. Okay, Entomb Reanimate. This hand is extremely risky, but I am going to keep it. I just need a black source, and I'm kind of cooking here. And draw step plus Ponder, and if they turn 1 Lavinia me, I'm so dead. But if they don't do that, I'm doing okay. And even if they do turn 1 Lavinia me, that might be just a go to discard, dump the Atraxa, start sending in Reanimates in the future kind of hand. All right, Mox Emerald. I'm going to start there in case they want to be aggressive in Spell Pierce. Ponder. Please don't Spell Pierce this, I need it. Black Lotus, huh? Yikes. Black Lotus, Long Goodbye, Show and Tell. This is a lot of action all of a sudden. If they have Lavinia, I can't cast Long Goodbye or Show and Tell next turn anyway. All right, I think I'm going to try to go. This is extremely risky, and I'm likely to lose the game, but I'm trying. They did have the Spell Pierce. All right. Well, I'm dead, but I guess I have to make them kill me. Yeah, that sucks. Just knowing Lavinia was in their deck, or else I could have slowed down and done that a little better. But if they Lavinia here, none of this works. Yep, super fucked. So I just have to... I mean, the cool thing here is I will end up going to discard eventually, and then I can just start casting Reanimates if I draw a Swamp. Okay, just need my life total to hold out that long. Luris is in the grip. Caracas is in play. Oh my god. Hey, they're Spell Bomb. They're so ready. Okay. They came equipped this time. Alright, my next draw step is the first one unlocked after the Brainstorm lock, or Ponder lock, whatever this was. Luris can start bobbling me every turn, and they can Spellbomb something every turn. Luris is in, and they're just drawing a card with Spellbomb. Okay. I feel like Bobble is the same thing as that. That doesn't cost mana. Okay, Brainstorm. I will move to clean up and discard Archon of Cruelty. Now it's time to draw a Swamp. They're bobbling me. Is it a Swamp? Any Swamp. Any Swamp. Not a Swamp. Holy shit. Okay, I'm going to discard Atraxa. It's getting worse here. We had a brief window to maybe do something, and now it is sliding away. I actually can't even cast an Animate anymore. We're dead. That was a really good Spell Pierce. Kind of an awkward hand that my Ponder did not fix. All good, though. I'm just going to submit this list. I still think it's correct. It's just better on the play where Spell Pierce can't get me. Okay, this is the final game of the league. Playing for that 4-1. Hand does not function. Gonna mulligan it. This hand almost does something, except that it doesn't. Okay, what does this hand actually do? Because it's really close. Long Goodbye kills a Hate Bear. My mana's set up. I can do a Surveil land on turn 1. I could bottom Underground Sea because Otawara does answer stuff. We've seen so many stupid answers to my deck, though, including Caracas, Aether Spellbomb. But Luris, the deck structurally is built to drag into late games with tons of interaction. And if I mulled a 5 or 4 looking for a faster send, their cards might just overwhelm me. Okay, they kept 7. I'm also going to keep, and I'm going to bottom Underground Sea, as promised. Scalding Tarn, Mock Sapphire. This Tarn has Undercity Sewers written all over it. The dream, of course, is to Undercity Sewers and just hit Archon or Atraxa, and then there's a blue card under it. Perfectly normal stuff to hope for, right? Right, they've got 3 mana to kick the game off. Fetch. Even Mind Censor me. Do it. If they didn't do it. Sewer. Show me the Archon. Ponder. Alright. I will keep a Ponder. Quite happy with that card, actually. I will also play around Spell Pierce, a card that they've shown me that they play. They're not afraid to fire off. Mox Jet, Ponder, Lorien revealed. I still like this Ponder. I'm going to put Lorien in my hand as a blue card for Force. Then I'm drawing Ponder next turn. And if I don't have to force anything, then I could just Lorien as a cycle. Containment Priest. I could give that the long goodbye. That's fine. Cycling Lorien. Got a Tundra. I do have to time this kind of carefully, because if I just kill this thing now, but I don't have a plan moving forward in the game, they can, over the next couple turns, grab Lurrus, get Lurrus, play Priest out of the graveyard. Yeah, I'm going to let this thing get a little taste. Ponder. Moxjet attracts a Mystical Tutor. A Mystical Tutor gets Entomb. Don't shuffle this. Keep the Lorien revealed. Yeah, this is tough balancing having lands versus having Force Up, and I think having Force Up is more important. Cycled another revealed in the end step. Another Tundra. Okay, Priest gets another 2 points here. I think I long goodbye the Priest now. If that kills that, then I can Mystical in the upkeep, which gets me a shuffle. Mystical Tutor. I could just get Ancestral and try to reload. Do I think that's better than taking the straight line to Entomb? I don't have black sources to Entomb Reanimate all at once. Yeah, I'm going to get Entomb here. Then I just have to decide what pace I'm going to fire these cards off in. They didn't re-Priest. Moxjet, they can get and play Lurrus here. Lurrus was gotten, but not deployed. I think I Entomb in the upkeep. I'm just so worried about Spell Pierce suddenly turning on their game. There's an Archon in the bin now. Okay, I'm not going to get Spell Pierced here. Reanimate Archon. They've got 4 unknown cards in their hand. 3 mana in the pool. Okay, force this. Moment of Truth. We're either dead or we're on board here. Those are the only outcomes. They had another Force. Force pitching Force after hard catching Force. All right, and now they can... Yeah, we're dead. They could just play Lurrus next turn, replay Priest, and we're not getting out of that. Okay. A positive record, wading through a bunch of Lurrus decks on the way there. Losing to a Hate Bear deck that I imagine if we played 1,000 matches, you'd win 950 of them. Just structurally. I mean, I'm sure those decks are fine, but mostly what we're doing doesn't care about what they're doing. It's just, do they have their Black Lotus in their opening hand versus, how long does it take you to get anything together? Does their specific Hate Bear line up against specifically that card, the hand you have, etc. I was impressed how many Lurrus decks we beat, though. And then finally that one at the end, the white one, imagine that. Dimir Lurrus is the more popular build, but the white version is much better against decks like Oath, which hits this deck with basically all of the Oath splash hate. I am concerned, like I said, about the AB-1-2 construction of this deck and how in Vintage everything is so much tighter and sleeker. And when those problems came up, those were the games we lost, where it's like we have Atraxa plus Entomb, or Show and Tell plus Reanimate, or whatever, or a monster in the graveyard and Show and Tell in hand. Those spots just hurt so bad in Vintage, where every draw step could win or lose the game in any deck. And you just want your cards to be really good. I'm not sure what that means for this deck. Like, things you could do is put, like, Sphinx of the Steelwind in the monster package and Bolus's Citadel. Like, if you have Citadel and Sphinx, then you get to play Tinker, and both of those are also good things to show and tell. Obviously, the cards in this deck cost a gajillion, but if you put yourself to 4 to cast Emrakul out of Bolas's Citadel from 19, you win. It doesn't matter. That might be where I'd want to explore next, just be way vintagier. And I think Tinker is the busted cheat stuff into play engine that we're not exploring yet here. I'm not sure where all that goes, but I think if we're like upping the critical mass of things we could do, and Tinker being just a one and done, where there were a few spots in this league where I had a Vamp Tutor or Demonic Tutor, and I could get any card that I wanted in my deck, but that didn't finish the combo. But Tinker you could just get, and now it's a Sphinx, now it's a Citadel, off we go. There's a lot to like about that. I know groundbreaking insights here on the BoshNRoll channel about Tinker being a powerful card in Vintage, but I would check it out. Joe, thank you for submitting this. This was a great run. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.